Now, the Australian fashion industry has been hit hard by a downturn in sales and a rise in production costs, but there are thankfully some labels that have managed to steer their way to success.
Aussie brands are looking overseas, and as our reporter Lara Himes found out ahead of Fashion Week in Sydney, it's proving a lucrative option for some designers.
It's no secret that the Australian retail market is struggling. But what do you do if you're a designer still wanting to be a success? Well, the answer may lie in the international market. One of the designers who has made it big overseas is Dale McCarthy. She is behind Bondi Born. Dale, tell me why you went overseas to make such an impression.
Well, Lara, I wanted to build an Australian brand, an iconic Australian brand, and sell it to the world, basically. So 2 years ago we went to Europe as our first market. Reason being, swimwear is recognised as iconic in the Australian market. You think about cigars, you say the Cubans make the best. You think about red wine, the French make the best. You think about swimwear, Australians make the best. And surprisingly, we found it more difficult to break into the Australian market than we did in Europe. We went into specialty retail swimwear stores. They were like, well, you can't have a pair of bottoms that are sold for more than $60. And I'm like, well, this is the world's best fabric. It lasts up to 10 times longer than fabrics that are made in China. It's ethical, sustainable, it's beautiful. So we launched our e-commerce business and we set up a pop-up shop in Bondi. So I find it a lot more liberating as a designer and as a business person to sell direct to consumer. We are that resort lifestyle, our beaches, our casual life, our contemporary style. That's why I named the business Bondi Born, to say this is Australian.
One other homegrown label which is doing well overseas is the label Beck and Bridge. Well, Becky Cooper and Bridget Yorston are the minds behind that label. Ladies, tell me about exporting overseas. How difficult is it and how has it been received?
I think exporting overseas for us it's been great. We started 10 years ago exporting overseas, so I feel like we really had foundations in place. We've been going, the brand's been going for 18 years, so we sort of didn't try and move into that market too early. We established our Australian consumer base first, so we have found it's been quite a natural progression.
I mean, we started opening retail just in the last 2 years, and we've had a really positive response to that. I think because we had a really established wholesale business first. Definitely having that US and international market across the board during that time has definitely helped the brand, and it really, I guess it means that we haven't got all our eggs in one basket. We've got a lot of diversity with where the brand is seen, where it can be purchased, and it's great having that international stable of stockists as well.
I think the States has probably been one of our strongest responses. We're also having a real lot of growth in the UK at the moment, and we're sort of starting to see a lot of growth in Asia as well.
And how difficult is it to export overseas? What would be your advice for any Australian designer looking across the pond?
I definitely think it's a process. It's not something that can be set up overnight. You really do need to be on the ground. It's impossible to think that you can take your brand overseas without actually being there. And yeah, so logistically there's challenges, but definitely once you do have those relationships and the processes set up, it can be a really worthwhile part of a business.
Is it financially beneficial to be looking overseas to sustain your brand, given the amount of brands in Australia that have been going under?
I think so, but I think we're also well aware that, we're going to design where the brand is in demand. So if the stores are ordering, and as long as that continues, we'll continue to design for those markets.
Both designers and their collections will be on display next week at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week.
Nice job, Lara Himes. She always loves a good fashion story, Lara.
Yes.
All for work and research purposes, of course. Let's go to sport. PK, as always, very well turned out. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Got the